Welcome to the Wally Show Aftercast. All the stuff we did not get to during the course of the show today, including the show today.
Right. You're going to notice that today's podcast is really short, and that's because our computers gave out on us.
What did we get to? We got to like the first hour.
Well, somebody commented on this. It might have been in our potty group. I don't remember. But someone said you mentioned the whole SAG people.
We did your news.
Saying,
that was it.
Protesting everything, and then it went down.
Okay, so there.
We got through 6 breaks of content.
So it'll be short today. Ooh. Yeah, we had a complete server meltdown. And how bad is it? Like, my first thought was, we got hacked, but I'm such a conspiracy theorist anyway.
Well, and you're dramatic.
I'm very dramatic. And
it's more fun that way.
Yeah, of course it is. But apparently something just melted down. And they've been trying to fix it for the last 4 hours or 3 hours now. And so an hour and a half ago, they're like, oh, it's back up. And I'm like, oh, gee, okay, well, I guess we got to go finish the show.
I guess that meant something a lot more different than we thought it did, though.
Yeah, and so, they still don't have it fixed. So we're running off of an old backup on the show of old music that's like 2-3 years old.
Back when we were uplifting upbeat Andrew.
And real. Mm-hmm. So it's been a weird morning, but it did make me go, because Zach had always told me, he said, the next thing you should do for your job, like the older you get, is do a 4-day work week, and like the 5th day is like prep for other days, or do a podcast that's like a 1 day a week thing. And like, this has been so great having this time at work. Like, I cut an interview, Gavin's been working on the video, Betty's been doing what she does.
You know what this is?
What?
You know what this is?
I do not.
This is about that story in Portland where that girl, they had an AI version of her, and she could get off the air and do things.
Yeah.
And her listeners didn't know. It's an AI version.
AI Ashley.
And you could do that.
I know.
We could have an AI version and you could get so many things done.
You don't even have to have an AI version of me. We have so much content through the years that we have recorded, and we do for best ofs when I'm gone and things like that. But they could do a year solid of this show without people knowing.
We used to have the process where we would do 5 days of the show and then Saturday. They still did like our content on Saturday, and that was just taking the best clips from the week and putting them on Saturday. Mm-hmm. Be interesting if that was what Friday was.
I know. Well, that was the idea.
Interesting.
The idea was that Friday you would run a best of, and you would have that day to catch up, work on other things, just not be on the air. And I was like, I'm just so ingrained in being on the air, and I love it.
I think it's best that way.
There is part of me that's like, oh, that's kind of great. Or if I could work it out to just like, as I'm like getting older, and like instead of retiring, like doing a semi-retirement and just do 4 days a week, would be kind of dope too. But I don't know if I'm ready for that, honestly. But so here we are doing the Aftercast for you as well, though. Let me see. This was an interesting story. You guys know that Shaq is like a philanthropist. Like, he goes around and he sees people, and he's got so much money. He's like, I'll just do something nice for him.
Yeah, and he's retired.
Yeah, he's retired.
Right? So, but he has so much time, which he's giving back now, which is great. But he also does like commercials and stuff that I've seen for random things. I'm like, I don't know if that's
Icy
a good.
Hot.
His commercials for the General Auto Insurance, which is like cut rate auto insurance, was so bad.
I loved those.
Oh, but like he's gone and he's seen people that meet a need, and he's bought them cars before on the spot and done like crazy things. And I think that's really cool. But apparently he was in a shoe store and he sees this little kid crying, and he walks over and asks the kid why he's crying. And the kid had said, well, I wasn't listening to my dad, so I got in trouble. And so Shaq is like, Shaq makes him go over and apologize to his dad, and then buys him shoes. Like, it's kind of funny. It's kind of one of those weird mixed messages. Like, you need to listen to your parents, but then you reward him still. But
it's shoes. It's not.
It's not a car. But what's really interesting, though, is as I read this story. It doesn't. This kid's 8 years old. His name's Zion. It doesn't feel like Zion wrote this. So this was from the Instagram post. This is Shaq walking over. What's wrong with you is all I heard before turning around to see this giant man standing over me, Zion said. I told him I got in trouble from my dad for not listening while in the store. Shaq said, go give your dad a hug. Tell him you're sorry. Zion continued. I I did just that as he lectured me about for not listening to my parents. Before Shaq left, he offered to buy him new shoes. He even watched my basketball videos and told me I was a great point guard. Like, it was weird. It felt like somebody was writing it for him.
How old was he?
8.
No.
Yeah.
An 8-year-old doesn't use the word lecture.
No, exactly.
As he lectured.
Yeah.
Like, it just
as he lectured me.
Feels like a paper.
Yeah, I think mom or dad wrote that one. But it doesn't like devalue like the kindness of Shaq and that.
Really
and taking a minute to watch his videos.
Well, and I'd like to know how much those shoes were too.
I bet they're $150 probably would be my guess. Like probably,
and he'll outgrow them in like 2 months.
And it's funny too because he probably bought him Jordans. You know, like does Shaq have a shoe?
I don't think so. A lot of like modern athletes are coming out with a lot of shoes. I don't know if Shaq ever. No. I think that Shaq did have a shoe at one point. But it was a shoe that he rolled out into Walmart because he wanted more affordable shoes for the everyday, like, kid playing basketball that can't go to Finish Line and buy $200 shoes.
Instead of the sneakerheads that are buying them all and collecting them and selling them for exorbitant prices. My wife, I don't know what happened. She turned into a sneakerhead, man. Like she always bought, like she used to always buy like patent leather shoes and these really cute shoes. Like she loves shoes. And then she started buying like Pumas and then New Balance and then all these different things because she wanted like them to make her feet feel better because she has struggles with that a little bit. But it's like she kept trying and then she was just buying, these are cute. And she bought so many pairs of sneakers. And then she I have my Vans that I wear and they're the new school Vans, like Eco something. They're more comfortable than old school skater shoes. And so I bought those and then she bought a pair of those too. And the other day we went out and we were actually both wearing the same pair of shoes. They're both the exact same. I know, we're adorable. But she literally out of nowhere just I'm a sneakerhead now. It's so weird.
But didn't you say that she has a hard time buying things for herself?
Yeah, apparently sneakers is not that thing. She does labor over every purchase. Like the other day she was laboring over an $8 thing and I'm like, Jess, please, like the conversation is not worth this.
Weirdly, my life gets easier if you buy something. Yeah,
it's fine. And she'll always ask me, do you mind if I get this? Absolutely not. I never tell her no. Because she's good with money and she doesn't buy a lot of things for herself. So I'm always like, yeah, that's fine. And she bought a dress the other day for $30 and she was like, I'm going to take it back. I'm like, why would you take it back? It looks really good on you. It's a nice dress. It's perfect for you. I did have to tell her one didn't look good on her. I'm like, it's not cut right for you. It hits right in the wrong spot. But that's honest. That's what you can do when you've been married for a little while. Okay. It's true. You can. You should be able to anyway. Lady Rock, what do you got?
In a recent interview, Disney CEO, this is bad news for Gavin, Disney CEO Bob Iger, he broke the hearts of many Marvel and Star Wars fans when he announced that Disney will be drastically cutting back on the amount of movies and TV shows they put out for the two franchises.
There's too many.
We've talked about this. They put out so many that it's kind of like the McRib.
Yes.
It loses its value when it's available.
If you could have it all year round, it wouldn't be special anymore.
Wouldn't be the McRib.
Yeah. And it's the same way. Like you lose track of it. Then they start blending all the worlds together. It's just got ridiculous.
It's too much. And much of the focus for Disney has been put on getting out new content for Star Wars and for Marvel. But with all that attention being specifically into one area, other areas suffered, like Pixar films drawing in less and less people. I just said this morning. I was looking at tickets for another movie.
We were talking off air about this.
And I was shocked to find out that the new Pixar movie was out, Elements or something.
Elemental.
I haven't heard anything about it, and it didn't even look good.
Do you know how much it cost to make? $200 million is what they spent on Elemental. On an animated film, they spent $200 million.
Is that a lot?
That is a lot. That's what Titanic cost to build, and they built a whole ship for that. So $200 million they spent on an animated series. And last I heard, Gavin, can you Google what it's brought in? 40-something million. It might be a little higher than that.
Well, I mean,
now.
I just feel like I haven't heard anything about it. Usually there's this big
hoop-de-doo.
Yeah, like I mean, they did with The Little Mermaid. You heard a lot about it, but there wasn't really anything with
it's
Elemental.
Interesting. I wasn't sure about what this one would have in it because Disney is losing trust with conservatives because you used to be able to just park your kid in front of a Disney movie and be like, great. But you can't do that anymore because Disney has bought into the woke stuff and they are forcing LGBTQ agendas on kids now, and and unashamedly so. And so I went to that Plugged In movie review because it's a site that it's Christian based that reviews films and lets you know if there's things to watch out for. And because I hadn't heard any backlash about Elemental, and sure enough, in the sexual content, it's like there's alluding to it, and two characters that like are one is gay, but it's not a main storyline like in the last one. But they're still putting it in there to indoctrinate people.
And also too, this was happening with that new. There's two new. I don't know if they're Pixar or not. I think they're Disney. But remember, there was that one where it was like, it was Buzz Lightyear, and then there was a woman that helped him, and they found out she was lesbian. And then there was another one.
Out of This World, where the main character was gay.
Yeah, it's
that
like
one got the least amount of press I've ever seen. That and Elemental, just like you're right, like just tanking in terms of like how we're talking about these movies and like the amount of people that are going to see them. Like it's just we've gotten to that point where you're like, I'm good not seeing. Like I could have never walked away having not seen like a Toy Story movie or Inside Out or something like that. Now it's like, I can skip a handful of these movies.
I don't need your agenda. I just don't.
But I don't know, because to me this sounds like they're thinking it's not about the agenda. It's about that they're not giving enough focus to their Pixar films. And so they're thinking if they pull back on Marvel and Star Wars, then they'll be able to still get the agenda across, but more creatively in their Pixar films. So you're saying like, they need to learn their lesson that we don't want agenda. And it may be part of that, but it also might be it just doesn't look good.
They won't. I think they have kind of like Ron DeSantis in Florida doubled down against Disney, and he's trying to backpedal a little bit, but it's not working. They're in the same boat. They doubled down on LGBTQ, and for them to backpedal is going to be problematic for them internally and within their company because they do have a big group of people that are in that community, and so they will have to deal with the backlash of that. But they are going to see, as they are seeing, less revenue from these films. No matter how hard you push it, the harder you push, if you come out and say, we've got this new great movie and it has a gay character for children, we're going to push it, and you can push all you want. But if society goes, hey, I don't want that, and we don't go see it, it dies.
Oh, I know. I agree. I'm just saying, though, that they might not think it's about agenda that people aren't going to see.
They might not, but they are going to learn that.
They could.
Right.
They could learn that.
Yeah, they will learn that. Here's my thing. I think they will learn that and know that, but I think they won't back off of it. That's my problem, is that they won't cave to the financial burden of it, which they should because they're a for-profit company. But I think they are so agenda-driven that even if they're losing money, they will put the agenda as a higher standard than the money, which is crazy in a for-profit company. That's stupid. That's bad business. But I could see them like actually doing that. And so, I mean, I looked at my Disney stock today. I used to work there. Like I had somebody the other day that was like, you talk about Disney a lot and you know what, they're bad. I said, absolutely I do. I said, my daughter works there. My wife worked there. I worked there. There were really good times at Disney, and they did some things really well, and they still do some things really well. So my point is, support what they do well and don't support what they don't do well. It's like your kids. When your kids are doing things and they have good behavior, you support and reward the good behavior, but you do not reward the bad behavior. You don't stop loving your kid. You don't throw your kid away. And so for me, that's just how I personally look at it. Because I need them to do well as a company. Like I have stock that I bought while I worked there, and I bought a lot of stock while I was there. And that's what was partly fueling like future my retirement. I was being smart. And now I'm watching them tinkle all over this. And it's like, no, you're affecting my ability to retire someday, And so I want them to come back. I want them to revert back to better values that Walt would be proud of. Do that, build your stock back up, have us all be happy, and everybody makes money. We walk away happy, and then we're done. Like, so I don't want them to fail, but I don't want them to succeed with agenda-driven LGBTQ movies.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be the norm that's acceptable. I don't.
It seems interesting that they are very willing to let us all be angry and mad and like upset with how they're handling content, more so than they would be if like the LGBT whatever community was upset when they didn't have represent. Like why is
the
us being more
LGBTQ community is a lot louder and they're a lot more open about their feelings, whereas I think the people that might disagree with it stand further in the background and they just don't do action.
But the other reason, to your point, Gavin, that they would be less concerned of conservative voices in this is because the conservative voice, when you say, I don't like this,
anti-love,
you're hate.
Se.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But when you say, I just want to love who I want to love, you go, well, I can support that because that's inclusive and that's loving. Yeah. That's why that message is easier for them to support than support a message that goes against a lot of the people who work for them.
It's an unfair measuring stick for sure.
Yeah. And the only way it swings back is eventually commerce. I think commerce will swing it.
Well, and also too, Gavin can comment on this better than I can, or maybe you can, Wally. But they are saying too that the feedback that they're getting from the recent Star Wars and the Marvel films haven't been as good either. A lot of people are saying like, it just keeps going, or like the TV shows aren't that great.
The last year and a half of going through this, like Marvel movies have been hit or miss, which it used to be a lot of hit. Oh my gosh, this is so good. Building a great universe. It has been interesting because they built up to this whole Endgame thing. Where,
I remember that. Yeah.
You know, when all that happened, and it's in a weird way, you kind of sit there and you're like, that would have been an excellent way to end a series. Like if you have a TV show and you're like, oh my gosh, final season, it's done. Great.
And it was called Endgame. We should have been done.
So to go from that to, okay, we're going to do this postpartum Marvel universe and see if we can build back up to another wave of another quote unquote Endgame. That's very difficult to do if you've had people, I think, who have been watching for 20 years and then you start making content that's not as good and it's a lot more than we were used to. Like then when they did the TV shows, they gave us, 10 TV shows in the last 2 or 3 years. And I personally haven't watched the last 3 or 4 of them because some of the stuff that they were putting in them was very like LGBTQ heavy and the storylines didn't seem interesting. And I heard that they've all been poorly done. And so I think that they put so many eggs in that basket. And then, yes, they thought, oh, this is all we should do. Like this is the only thing that we should be giving our fans. Because when you go to Disney Plus, it's a lot of kids TV shows. And then it's a lot of Marvel shows.
Marvel section.
And there's not this like Netflix is great because it has anything and everything from comedy to drama. Like Disney Plus, which I think is great and awesome, but it's like a lot of here's your kids shows, here's your Marvel. There's nothing really in between to just have fun with.
Well, Marvel too, then they started running out of like character stuff, so they started creating all these weird fringe, bizarre.
Well, they took the fringe characters from some of the comics, and some of them make sense. Like Guardians of the Galaxy was never a mainstay in like Marvel comics, but they did that well.
Right.
But now they're taking a few others that you're like, I don't
even know who this is.
And no offense to anyone who loves it. Like, I don't need a She-Hulk show. I don't need some of this stuff that needs to be drawn out. Like, if you did it well, I'd be a fan, but they did it poorly.
It's all money grab, and so that's the thing. Scarcity determines value. And so when you have something like back in the day, when you like Christmas would roll around and you had one chance to see the claymation Rudolph, that was it. It was going to air one time on ABC at 8 o'clock at night or at 7 o'clock at night. And if you missed it, you knew you had 365 more days till you had another shot at that bad boy. And you wanted to, you valued it. Your whole family made an appointment and gathered around. Now everything is like, oh, I can see it whenever, or there's going to be 10 more of them. If I miss this, I'll catch the next one. Star Wars got like that for me. Like after I don't even know, after the Jar Jar Binks, and then they did 3 more and then 4 more. Like I stopped caring because I didn't think they were done well. And I was like, again, when they blew up a second Death Star the same way as they did in 1985.
How many Death Stars can you have?
I was out. I'm like,
it was so confusing.
It's the same plot, man.
It was interesting.
They used the same photon blasters.
I thought it was interesting because I saw this one little article that talked about a guy whose Star Wars project was shot down because it didn't have like a Skywalker storyline to it. Because if you watch like all of Star Wars, it's all centered around like the Luke Skywalker series and all this. And they're like, oh, it just didn't have any original characters in it, so we didn't want to push this through. Where it's like, man, I don't know if I need to like we already did watch from the 1980s to the 2020s. We saw everything that had to do with like one storyline. I'm like, I'm so ready for fresh. This is as a Star Wars fan. I'm so in favor of this whole like pulling back thing, because I've stopped caring. I'd rather care again,
right?
And I
less
think
of them makes them more valuable.
I would love to go 2 years in between my favorite Star Wars content instead of seeing something new every 2 months.
Yeah, I think they're trying to keep. I think they're trying to keep Star Wars nerds alive, because 2 years is too far for them to go.
Probably.
We got to give them something every 6 months, or they're just going to
give them some hope.
Get depressed. Exactly. I'm curious if my Jake Lloyd, who played young Anakin Skywalker, who then becomes Darth Vader. I have a Darth Vader helmet that I had him sign when he was a kid. He's like 8 years old. I'm really curious if some Star Wars person would be like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool," and I'll give you $100 for it or something like that. I'm curious if it has any value.
Probably more.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I would sell like right now. It just sits in one of my my office at home.
More valuable than your stock.
You.
That's
70-30.
true. Betty Rock was selling. She sold my bar stools.
I sold them the
day.
The day I listed them.
Yeah.
I had 5 people reach out to me.
Yeah.
And
they're good chairs.
Yeah. And I sold them that very day.
What was? Did you guys stick to the
70-30?
Yeah.
She got a little more.
I got a little more. I sold them for $80.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so I got 60 and he got 20.
Because Marty, my wife, did
25.
the math. She's like, okay, well, that's $24. She can Venmo you. I'm like, A, how did you do that? And B, I'm like, Betty, just give me 20. Like, it's fine. She's like, okay.
It was
Pleasure
great.
doing business with you.
Right? If you need anything else sold, let me know.
I'll do it.
Guru.
I will 1,000,000,000% do that, because there are things that, I give so much good stuff away that I would like to make a little bit of money on, and maybe we could adjust the split a little.
No.
Oh, nuts.
So here's the question for you. So we have a bunch of stuff in a shed right now, and I think that we would love to do a garage sale at some point in the future, because it just sounds kind of fun, and it'd be a way to like get stuff out.
It
and
is not
people
fun,
do that.
for the record.
I know. Would you guys recommend that we just like nix that idea, get everything out, clean it off, post a photo of it on Facebook, and just then
some people have?
Because I'm kind of starting to think.
It depends on how much time you have.
We shouldn't do the garage sale.
The garage sales are a nightmare.
People try and.
Well, Haley's just like, I want to bake cookies and like meet people in the neighborhood. I'm like, do you?
Because you're not meeting people in your neighborhood. You're meeting the garage sale trolls that are driving around in their truck and they got stuff piled up 10 feet high
at 5:50 a.m.
Yes,
but then I have to deal with Facebook people if I do the Facebook marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like, I feel like there's pros and cons to both.
Get in on Betty's side hustle. Cut a deal with her. Like a 60-40 deal for things. I can't afford that. 70-30 was people here at the office. 60-40 was the original deal. So we got to go back to that. That was the original. And I even let you have 70-30 because you sold them here.
You guys need written contracts.
And I shouldn't have. Well, I will next time. I will next time to protect myself.
Draft that up.
To protect my interests.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so 60-40.
You need a third party to watch you do that.
Yeah, from 60-40 from here on out would be good. What? Unless you sell it to somebody here at work. If you sell it to not someone coming here, but someone that works here, 70-30. But 60-40.
How come you get to make the rules and I don't?
Because I got the stuff. Thank you, Gavin. Like we don't even plan these things. We're just common sense.
You are literally going to give away money.
Yes.
If you do it your way.
Right.
But yet you earn money.
Right.
By giving it to me.
Correct.
That's dumb.
And I can earn a little more if we have a better split.
Yeah, if he learns from the dumbness.
Somebody pointed out, I don't even remember, they were like, you should have just told Wally, you want the chairs. And then you could have gotten the full profit.
I know, and then you sold them. Yeah.
Like,
Sarah,
I want whatever you got that you don't want.
We used to have to be careful with presents, giving presents to Sarah, Zach's wife, like for birthdays and things like that, because like you would give her something and it would show up on the
Facebook
sites.
Marketplace.
She loves selling stuff, buying and selling. Loves it.
It can be fun.
Oh yeah, she lives for it, you know, and I've done enough of it. I don't ever want to do it again, and unless I have to. I'm curious if I sell my motorcycle, like I'm curious if I would do that or just even take it back to the dealer and go, here, what do you give me for it, you know, and see if I could walk away.
Yeah, it might be easier doing that with cash.
Yeah, like Greg, though, when he moved out to Utah, sold 5 motorcycles in the space of a day and a half.
Dang.
And one of them he sold for a can of Red Bull. That's my favorite story. He had this bike. It didn't run.
Okay.
It didn't run, but it could run.
Yeah.
He knew it just needed, he knew what it needed, but he was moving the next day.
Yeah.
And he's like, first person here with a can of Red Bull can have this vintage bike.
Because there's I need money and there's I need this gone.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And this guy shows up and he was like, he couldn't believe it. He was like, are you serious? And he's like, I got a big can of Red Bull. And he's like, I'm dead serious, on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
Guy shows up, gives him the thing for the thing. And the guy's like, I'm going to get it running. I'm going to call you and tell you that I got it running. Called him later that night, had it running, and was all excited. Yeah.
That's a story.
They both got a good story out of it, you know. All right, let's do some birthday.
Okay. I got a couple. So we got John and Elizabeth Clausen.
Oh, the Clausens, our favorite Canadians.
They want to wish their younger son, Matthew, a happy birthday. He's celebrating today. They said he's an amazing and hardworking young man. His mom is very happy. He just sold his motorcycle.
Oh, see, I know. My wife would be happy the day I sell that. She will be elated.
Annie is celebrating a birthday tomorrow. She said, I'm turning 14 and I love donuts, dogs, and the podcast and the Aftercast.
Nice.
That's awesome. Catherine and Stephen and Jenny want to wish their son and brother Declan a happy birthday.
Declan?
Declan.
That's great. Declan is actually in a John Chris skit about millennials and sponsoring millennials. It's not Nate Bargatze. What are you complaining about?
I was mixing up the two.
No,
Sorry.
it's John Chris.
Okay, John Chris.
And that is one of the characters. And I'd never heard that name before, but he's like, Declan, you have to go see it. It's like sponsoring millennials. He's like, Declan here doesn't like to do this. We don't want to push
Declan.
Declan.
If it's spelled like QU, though.
It's spelled DECLAN.
That's better.
I would have never got that. I would have put a K in there.
Declan is turning 6 years old. He loves being silly, drawing, Minecraft, and SpongeBob SquarePants. He's an amazing big brother and son. All right, so we've got a question from Kathy. And Kathy wants to know, what is your most recent success? And go. When I told this to Wally, because I try to give him a heads up so they can think on it, Wally was like, I have so many to choose from.
I do. I'm not sure what to choose from. Success was last time riding motorcycles with Phil. I did not die when I thought I was going to die. So that was a pretty good. I learned like some new things and did some things I didn't think I was able to do. And I had no choice. So I did them. And so I was pretty happy about that, actually. Anytime I don't die doing my activities, I am pretty happy. What's your success,
standards,
Lady Rock?
We talked about it on the Girl Boss situation, but I did not freak out when I hit that branch and I drug it, and it was scary sounding, but I kept my cool and I pulled over and I pulled it out myself, and it took some muscle.
Speaking of hitting things, I saw a video, a TikTok, and because I've had this happen where a bird flew in front of my car and it got stuck in my grill, and I was so sad. I was so sad. I peeled this bird out of my grill. I'm like, oh. And so I say a little nice word over him, and then I throw him away. It was so sad. But then there was this guy on TikTok that's pulling a hawk out of his front grill of his truck, and it was deep in there. And he pulls it out. He's like, yeah, hit this hawk, dadgum. And he pulls it out, and then the thing shakes its head and takes off flying.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like, it looked dead.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, and it flew away.
Also, don't act like you have a heart, because I remember years ago, you had this video that you laughed, like gut-rolled, laughed over, and it was horrible.
What was it? Was it the hawk coming in and getting the hamster?
What? I don't know if I even saw that one.
These kids are playing with a hamster outside. They're like, oh, here's our little hamster. He's so cute. And the hawk comes and grabs it out of their hand.
That's not funny. That's traumatic.
It was funny.
No, I'm talking about the one where somehow a trucker got a turkey, in the cab of his truck, and he finally gets it out, and a car comes and runs that thing over, and feathers fly everywhere. And you sat there and watched it over and over. Yet you said a word over this bird.
This
that
was
you
a
hit.
cute bird. It wasn't something that someone would have eaten.
My goodness.
Next to like
That's
Thanksgiving
horrible.
anyway. Yeah, the turkey got stuck in the guy's truck, and when he finally opened the door to get it out of the under compartment, it's like, I'm free! Boom! And it just obliterates
not funny, it's
it.
sad.
It is. I did show that to you a bunch of times. Gavin!
I think that it would be yesterday, and this is just golf related.
Nice. Okay.
But I shot a +6 at a par 33 course.
Par
which is
33.
Par
So,
three.
Can you dumb that down?
You shot a 39?
No, so a par 3 course.
Oh,
so
a par 3 course.
27 would be perfection, or
Yes.
would be great, I guess. And then I shot +6.
Nine,
so I
6
had
over that.
6 bogeys and 3 pars.
So you shot 6 over. Like, that's fantastic. If you had done that on a regular golf course, that would have been...
the day that we went.
That would have been huge.
I got to be honest, I did not follow that.
Yeah,
but
that's
I'm
fair.
happy for you.
Thank you.
No,
It was
that's
a good day.
Shoot, yeah.
Been improving.
Anytime when you don't play a lot of golf, if you play what they call bogey golf, where you're basically getting one more stroke than what is called for on each hole, that's a win.
That's great. Oh, yeah. No, there was a day like a few months back where I shot +18 on for 18 holes.
Yeah.
So it was like just a bogey
That's
every
bogey
hole.
golf.
And it got annoying because I was like, I should.
That's really good.
I should get a par. But then my friend's like, that's it. No, don't complain about that.
No,
I'm like, I know.
instead of shooting 100, you shoot 18 over. That's good. We can play.
I forgot. It's been such a weird day. It kind of didn't feel like Friday.
Gavin, what are you doing?
So Haley's dad is in town.
Oh yeah.
Tonight. Oh yeah. We're going to a Bluey watch party at our friend's house.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
The new season of Bluey.
They have kids?
They added 10 episodes. They have a 5-year-old, 3-year-old, and a baby.
Okay, well, at least a kid's
So
there.
it's kind of for them, kind of for us. But Haley
You're
and
going to watch all of them?
there's just 10 episodes, and they're 7 minutes long.
Oh,
So
okay.
it won't even. It'll be like an hour.
That's still good.
But we're doing Bluey centric food.
Oh, nice.
And not like just blue food, like we
Australian
we
food,
went
or?
for like sausage rolls and like all these things that are from the show.
Are you dressing up?
No, but
Is your favorite Bluey character?
my buddy's like, when's your birthday? I just found a Bluey onesie online for you.
Oh, my
An
God.
adult Bluey onesie. I actually think he'll get that for me.
And I actually think you'll wear it.
I probably will.
I hope you do.
So
That's
I think we're
awesome.
doing that tonight. I want to go to like a farmer's market tomorrow with her dad because that's a big thing for him. He's the upscales furniture, so we're going to go to like Gas Lamp here in town, go to antique stores.
Yeah.
And then
Do you
church.
feel the need to entertain him while he's here?
No.
Okay. Because it just depends. Some relatives, like, you have to go. Like, when my sister comes into town, I feel like, well, we need to go do things and show her up. My mom comes here, she stays for longer, and it's like she entertains herself. And we always include her wherever we go. But it's not like I feel like I have to take her sightseeing.
When he's in town, it's we get to. It's not we have to.
Oh, that's good.
So he's cool.
Does he pay for things when y'all go?
So sometimes it's fun to get but in the sense that I'm not 22 anymore. Like we're not at that point
Doesn't
where
matter.
Mom and dad are into. Now if they do pay for things, that's great. Love
James
it.
B.
just paid for just took me on vacation to Hawaii. I love that.
Yeah.
So
James B, Marty's dad, like, he would always, when we would see him and we would go out, he would always pick up the check, even though I'm at the time was 50 years old. That was like his thing. He liked to do that. And
that's
I'm
just
like,
it's where we
love
live
it.
loving.
Thank you. And then we would do it for him though too. Whenever he came here, whenever we saw him, like, we would never let him pay. Like, I never let my mom pay anything when she's here.
Great.
But the thing is, it's funny. Like, I'm having this conversation now. Like, if Haley ends up getting married, like, I don't even know. Like, because like Spencer, her boyfriend, their family takes these great vacations, and they take her with them, and I'm like, we're going to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas in December when we're there, and because we have annual passes, but those don't work, of course.
Of
during that time.
course. That That is just like that stupid mouse.
It is. It is.
Dadgummit.
Michael Rat.
What?
Yeah. It's a blackout on the annual passes.
Get out.
That is dumb.
Marty,
that is rude.
I know. So Marty wants to go.
Of course she does.
But then
she's going to make you spend that money?
No, she didn't. She would not. She was like, no, I know. I want to go, but no. And I've said, look, this is one thing you're looking forward to. It's one thing we'll do while we're there.
Look.
And so I'm like, yes, let's do that. But then the question is, then do we pay for Spencer and Haley to go because they and it's $200 each
per person?
Yeah.
Because why?
Because we're in town and we're going, so should we take them?
Can she not get a cut? Because they
don't. For the Mickey,
because it's Christmas
So
when
yes.
you're supposed to be giving,
Yes.
not
commerce.
taking.
yes,
Their
exactly.
greatest revenue. Oh, man.
That
So,
mouse
I
is a
know.
low down.
dirty scoundrel.
Walt would be
and so that's
displeased.
where I'm like, I don't
Does she
know.
expect it?
Who?
Haley.
Yeah, she does.
Haley goes when Marty told her, she goes, and so we got tickets to the Very Merry Christmas. She's like, oh, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, your dad and I. She's like, oh, wait, what? So yeah, I think there's part of her because
Her
like
mindset's
vacation
still
dad,
sorta-
yeah.
Does Marty expect you to buy her a ticket?
No, but then she was like,
if it was just her.
should we? Yeah, if it was just her, I probably would. But then
Yeah.
it's Spencer too,
Right.
And I'm like, and
Two
I know
adults who
And
make
does
money.
he expect you to? Like, does that put him in an awkward situation?
I set the bar wrong on this, admittedly. Like when we
the
first
beginning,
met,
you
like
went
yeah,
wrong.
I pay for everything when we meet. Like, because that's what Marty's dad did. You know, when we were young and didn't have any money, her
But he
dad
has
paid for
money.
everything. Spencer's more well off than I was when I was
you were his age. Yeah.
Absolutely,
And probably much more well off than any kid his age right
Probably
now.
probably
he's-
a fair amount of people that are like, especially because
he's worked hard and
Yeah,
saved.
and he's working through like the Disney program, which
Yeah.
is not like the crazy. It doesn't sound like they're the crazy highest paying.
No, they're
gigs
not.
in the
No,
world.
it's
But then he
horrible.
goes and does like side hustle.
Right.
So for someone who works through Disney and is trying to
Right.
grind there, like it seems like he's doing incredibly well for.
So
that
I'm not
situation.
sure what to do. That one. Like,
I mean, they're not married yet.
gonna-
no, I know. And
so
then
I would say
here's-
if you want to buy Haley's, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
but
but
here-
if she wants Spencer to come with her, well, then
Yeah.
he needs to figure that out.
And I
himself.
would-
He's
I
not
would-
part of the family yet.
I would do that. Like I know this is where it gets into the murkiness because
How?
they just paid. She's going to Hawaii
Yeah.
to Disney's Alani.
She is.
Yeah, she's going there this next week. They got a whole giant suite villa thing.
You know what this is coming to?
What is it?
This is a competition.
I know. And
You want to outdo them.
No, I don't. No, I'd rather them not do stuff. I'd rather not have the out. Like I don't want to outdo them.
You wish she was marrying poor.
No, I don't. No, I'm glad she's not marrying.
Don't
poor.
let her marry
These
poor.
people aren't wealthy though. I mean, they're good with their money. I would say that probably, and his mom is a travel agent, and so she gets unbelievable deals on things. She knows how to work the system.
And they pay for Haley
Yes.
to experience all these
Yes.
things. And so you don't want Haley to be embarrassed of you if you don't
feel
pay
like
the
I should
$200.
reciprocate, right?
Yeah.
because it costs them way more than that.
But
to
you
take
didn't
her.
ask them to do
I
that.
know that. What my problem, and here's my problem: if they go down this road to get married, I am notoriously going to be cheap on this wedding thing.
No, you're not.
No, I will.
No, you're not.
I will try.
Exactly. And you will give in.
I don't want to.
I know you don't want to, but you will.
But like, will
Yeah.
they have expectations on what would be a good wedding, like as a family?
And then if you say, no, I'm not going to do that, and they're like, that's okay, we'll take care
right,
of it.
and which I don't want either.
But it could happen.
I know and I'm already thinking, because you know how far I think ahead of things. I'm already having that conversation in my head right now.
And the thing is, too, you could save that $200 that you would be spending on her. Well, $400 if you spend it on her and him, and put it towards a wedding.
Right.
Because the thing is, what if they don't work out?
Right.
Then you spent this. How
Right.
much money would you say you've spent on him?
I don't know.
What a cool question.
That is a good question, because like dinner, like we bought like tickets to the Not So Scary Halloween thing with them. We bought tickets to other things with them. When we go
You're
to
wrong. You
two or
shouldn't
three
have told her.
times.
I know. When we
You
go to
shouldn't have
dinner,
told her.
yeah, like if we go to dinner out there, like we've done a couple really nice dinners out there, and I pick it all up. I pick up all the meals.
That's when you go to
I
Waffle
know.
House, you go to McDonald's.
I know. I hear everything you're saying. I hear it all.
But you're not going to do it.
I don't know.
He's got blinders on. He's got
Yeah.
blinders on for for little.
And you can't have that conversation either.
Yeah.
Because if you have that conversation with Spencer, that takes you being humble and saying like, do you, and I get it, like there's some pride in that because you want to take care of your kid.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a little different. Like when Marty's dad would pay for things, I was really good because I didn't like it. It was really uncomfortable for me at first because I wanted to be the man and I wanted to take care of my wife and things like that. And so I would always offer to pay, always. Or I'd be like, can I at least get the tip?
Does he?
Not really. I know. That was like a red flag for me. He has a couple times. But then I'm like, okay, did I set the expectation that this is just expected now? You know, and I would gush and go over the top to tell Mr. Payne how thankful I was. No, and Haley doesn't either. Like it's a different weird generation and I don't like that and I don't respect that. So that's a weird thing that I'm like got to navigate through.
What are you going to navigate? What are you going to do?
I don't know.
Just put blinders on.
No, it's one of those things. I think if it gets to the point where it really bothers me, I would tell Haley. I would be like, hey, you need to mention to Spencer like that this is not expected and like to show gratitude because that's a big deal. I tell you, that's a big deal for me.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think you should practice a little of that too. Yeah, because that's a hot button for me.
Yeah,
for sure. So anyway.
Yeah.
So, there you go. That was fun, huh?
That was a fun conversation.
That was a fun conversation.
I love family drama, especially when it's not my
yours.
family.
Exactly. Let's talk about Danny Ray.
Here's the thing, too. What's so funny is how we differ because just I think it was Wednesday, my dad sent me a text around lunchtime. And it was just a video that he had took of the inside of Catfish Camp, my favorite place to go. And he was like, wish you were here. But that's the kind of dinners that they would pay for. Go to Catfish Camp. And I would be delighted.
Yeah. Right.
But what was so funny is I call them later when I get out of work and I'm driving home. And Mama says something like, I could barely eat. I had so much guilt. I could barely eat my fish because you weren't there.
Yeah.
It's like, sure.
That's where Marty's at, like with Disney. She's like, I feel bad not taking Haley, and like.
Yeah, but I talked to her when we were on a trip. For Momentum, she was there, and I was talking with her, and she was like, "Oh, Haley didn't say anything about the Hawaii trip, and that Spencer's family was taking her, and she was expecting to go on some trip with y'all
to Hawaii next year." Like, and so Haley felt guilty and didn't say anything to us, and then Spencer's dad slipped and said something, and so we had to call Haley
and be like, "Excuse me."
Yeah, and we're like, "What did we talk about before with you? Like keep us in the loop of your life. It's okay. It's not a problem." She's like, "I know. I just felt bad. I didn't want it to because you guys wanted to go together for the first time." I'm like, "It's fine." But what I'm mad about is you not telling us. That bothers me. And so. Yeah, what was the other thing? There was something else about not telling us. More family drama. Oh, what was it? I can't remember now.
Oh, no,
I can't remember. No, I can't. Trust me, if I could remember, I would tell you. It was just in my head and I just forgot it.
I love the drama.
I know. If I come up with it.
Golly.
Oh, no. It was you hosing me on that post.
Oh, yes. I accidentally posted... Yeah, because the picture, if y'all follow us on social media, you'll see the photo of Wally and Marty at Buc-ee's. And you were in the middle of the trip or whatever. And I was like, well, just send the picture to me and I'll post it. But I was under the assumption that you were heading to Florida because y'all had mentioned something about Florida.
Right.
But you weren't. You were going to South Carolina. And so in the caption, I put going to Florida or whatever. And so Haley, Wally's daughter, sees it and she's like, oh my gosh, you're coming to visit me.
She calls us and goes, so do you have something to tell me? And that's what we did with her about Hawaii. And we're like,
because she thought she was going to get back at you.
Yeah. She's like, we're like, no. She's like, are you going somewhere? I said, yeah, we're going to see Jenny, my sister. And she's like, oh. Like, what's wrong? And she goes, well, I saw the post that you posted. I'm like, oh, Betty posted that. Yeah, and she goes, I liked it, but then I unliked it so you wouldn't know that I knew. And then I looked at the Find My iPhone and I could see you guys were headed towards Florida because we were going that direction. And she got so excited that we were coming to see her because she's really missing us. And then I'm like, oh, no, I'm sorry. And then she starts crying. And I'm like, okay, talk about getting something right. I, with every fiber of my being, wanted to go go straight to Florida and just be with her and like make that okay. But I'm like, you know what? This is life and she has to get used to that. We're going to keep going with our plans and everything's fine. But my heart was breaking because she was genuinely sad, you know? So
and those are the moments that you're going to recall when she's like, but Daddy, I want Spencer to come with us on the very Merry Christmas.
I know. I'll be sad again. Remember that time you called? Yeah. All right. Well, that was fun. We hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll do this all again on Monday.
Growing up in poverty has never been easy for children, but with the added challenges of the pandemic, conflict, and natural disasters, families around the world are facing an unprecedented food crisis. Unfortunately, those who are already hungry are now even more desperate. But by sponsoring a child through compassion, you can help provide life-sustaining essentials such as food and clean water. And with your compassionate support, that child can not only survive, but also flourish. You can find out how and choose a child to sponsor when you click on the compassion banner at wayfm.com.